just picking up the TV.
Oh.
Let's see.
You want TV on?
No.
Just turn it off.
Okay. Sheridan here. Hold on as we wait for more of the audience to come in. Woo! Let's see. All right. So we got 200 people watching already. Wow, look at that. Press that like button. We had to make a decision. And by the way, I do have my laptop in front of me just to, as news comes into me. So I'm going to be live with you, but also monitoring. I'm getting a lot of messages from volunteers, activists, different sources. So I want to make sure that I am ready to go. So I hope you don't mind that I have my laptop in front of me, but it's so I could report to you. Let's make this a little more visually appealing here. Move my backpack down. So we decided to, during the day, stay back in the hotel because there's just so much information coming in left and right that if we were out somewhere covering it, let me make sure Jen knows we're live as well. Live. We wouldn't be able to get the news to you. So I want to start with what I think is the number one issue right now, the number one issue facing Iowa voters, and that is that a lot of the caucus locations have been changed last minute. A lot of the caucus locations have been changed last minute. And by the way, we got 300 people watching. 150 of you have pressed that like button. So if I can get another 150 of you to smash that like button, it will help us get this out to as many people as possible. Make sure you hit us on the super chat. This is a super chat. We love you, love you, love you. I'll try to read as many as I can. So I started getting reports in actually yesterday and the day before that locations were changing last minute for caucuses. If you live in Iowa or if you don't live in Iowa, it's not exactly easy to know where your caucus location is in the first place. Bernie Sanders' campaign has done a very good job of organizing, making sure potential voters knew where the caucus sites were. But a lot of people might not know where their caucus site is right off the bat. But then if it changes a week before the caucus, a couple days before the caucus, you're risking literally people going to the site that they thought it was at and realizing, oh, it's not there anymore. So let me just show you an example of this. Jamal, if you could zoom in here. So this is one tweet that the Iowa Democratic Party is sending out. Ooh. Caucus location change alert. The Sioux City 13 caucus location is no longer at First Presbyterian Church at 608 Nebraska Street. It has been updated to Shriners Temple, first floor, located at 820 Nebraska Street. Ask us questions in the replies or email. So this might give the appearance that the Iowa Democratic Party is doing something to communicate. But number one, the reason that they are suddenly changing caucus locations is because the turnout is a lot larger than they expected. Why would it take you the week of the caucus? Why would it take you the week of the caucus or a few days before the caucus to realize you're going to have larger turnout? It was known for weeks. There's a lot of interest in this election. You're going to have a lot of turnout. Some campaigns are registering a whole lot of new first-time voters. So you have, I've gotten tips that the Johnson County, Iowa Democrats, Johnson County here in Iowa, literally changed their caucus site 1 week ago. 1 week ago. And I emailed the Johnson County party chair. Let me get you the response that they sent me, which was really something. Because they closed down, they changed the site a week ago. And they got back to me when I emailed them about this, because I also emailed them. I was getting tips that Bernie Sanders volunteers were being told they cannot communicate with voters during, not just during voting, but in between the first and second alignment. If you don't know Iowa caucus rules, you have a first round, they call it the alignment, where you vote for your candidate. The candidate has to meet a 15% threshold to be viable. And then if your candidate doesn't meet the 15%, those voters for that candidate who's not eligible for the final round are basically released and able to vote for another candidate on the final round. But between the first and the second round, as far as I know, there are no rules as far as volunteers, organizers trying to influence the voters for the candidates who did not make the second round, trying to talk to them and influence them to move on over to their candidate. So the Iowa Johnson County Party got back to me regarding why is it that you moved locations a week ago? How are you communicating it with people? Here's what they said. It is true that caucus sites were moved a few weeks ago. I was told that this was a week ago by multiple people. This was due to neighbors of a private business deciding they didn't want the disruption of a caucus next door. The newspapers of record in Johnson County printed a notice of the updated caucus sites. The change was also announced in our weekly newsletter and on our website. All campaigns were notified of the changes. The Iowa Democratic Party includes the updated sites in their comprehensive listing of all sites. Next question. Out-of-state volunteers are considered observers, and as non-voters in the caucuses are asked to stand aside during the alignments. This is how caucus works. It's a gathering of people who live in a precinct. Press and other observers have to stand aside as well. So let's go to the first one. And by the way, we have 800 viewers already. Only 390 of you. Only 390 of you have pressed that like button. Can I get another 400 of you? Press that like button. Let's get this audience through the roof. I want at least 2,000 viewers for this live stream, maybe even more. Smash that like button. Keep it coming in the super chat. So what's amazing about this, and by the way, this is just one county. I'm hearing that many, many counties are moving their caucus sites at the last minute. So in the Johnson County example, you're telling me, thank you, Robbie, for the super chat. Thank you, A. Mayers, for the super chat. I'm not going to be able to read all your super chats because I really want to get the news to you. You're telling me that you've had this caucus site decided for months, and just like a week to 2 weeks ago, a business told you, well, I don't want you to have it there. This happened 2 weeks before the election. It just so happens, from what I'm told, Johnson County is an area that's fairly strong for Bernie Sanders. This is just one example. It doesn't pass the smell test. You're like literally a week before the caucus. Oh, a business owner complains, so you have to move it. And the problem is the Iowa Democratic Party is sending out alerts on Twitter for where the new caucus site. No offense, because we got a lot of wonderful older viewers that watch us, but the majority of people over the age of 50, 60, and older are not on Twitter. So they're not going to be able to see where they might not even know that the caucus site has been changed. The majority of older people, they said, oh, we put it in the weekly newsletter. Well, who the hell knows who reads your weekly newsletter? Have you pushed it to local news outlets? Because generally older people do watch the local news. Have you been calling registered voters to tell them? I mean, honestly, this right now, if you want to give it the benefit of the doubt, you're going to be mad at me. Do you mind opening the window a little bit? I'm getting a little schwitzy. It's really funny because I run really, really hot and I sweat really easily. And Jamal behind the camera is Jamaican, right? And he runs very, very cold. So I need the window open. Poor guy's going to freeze, but we love him anyway. You're telling me, if you want to give them the benefit of the doubt, that this is not sinister, and they're not doing this to depress turnout, which I don't know about that, then this is the sheer incompetence of a caucus system. Like, I don't even think Iowa should have this level of influence over the electoral system. But putting that aside, you're just realizing a week before the caucus that you're going to have larger turnout? Have you not been paying attention to the amount of people registering to vote? Have you not been paying attention to the amount of people that are newly registered? In the case of the Johnson County, Iowa Democrats who responded to my request for comment saying, well, about a week ago, a business owner expressed displeasure on having the caucus next to them. Too bad. You can't change the caucus sites a week before. If you're lucky, 20 to 30% of the caucus, 20 to 30% of voters will learn of the new caucus site. As I tweeted out, and make sure you go to @JordanChariton on Twitter. I've been tweeting all day with updates. You know, Bernie's campaign is doing a good job of texting. They're texting out the new caucus locations and this and that. But that's just to the people that they have on their list. So that doesn't necessarily mean that all of Andrew Yang's supporters will get that notification. Tulsi Gabbard supporters, Warren supporters, other supporters that if their candidates are not eligible on the first round, again, first round, if you don't make the 15% threshold, then there's a second round, final round, where if your candidate, let's say people voted for Jamal on the first round, but he didn't make 15%. Then Jamal's voters are able to move over to me if I made 15%, if that makes sense. So it's a whole lot of mess. It's a whole lot of mess. But Jordan, he would have to put up with the crowds around his business for a whole day even. I know, right? Keep it coming. We got 1,160 people watching. 742 of you have pressed that like button. Today on the Iowa Caucus, it is your civic duty in this here United Corporations of America. Press that like button. Get it going, baby. And we love the super chats. Keep the super chats coming. By the way, I just want to let you know, Status Coup is on the move. We are now at, where are you? We are now at 923 wonderful paying members. We are on the sprint to 1,000. All it takes is $5 a month to fund in the field on the campaign trail reporting. For those of you who say, Jordan, stop asking for money. Well, how do you want us to fund Iowa? How do you want us to fund New Hampshire? How do you want us to go to South Carolina, Nevada, Super Tuesday, and beyond? I can't print money like the government does for war. I can't print money like the government does for George Soros' tax cuts and the Koch brothers' tax cuts. I could only fund this through you, the people. Statuscoup.com/join. Sign up for $5 a month. We have other plans too. And Jamal has been turning out the content. We got a lot of bonus content just for our members that we've been posting here from Iowa. A lot of behind the scenes content. Sign up, statuscoup.com/join. So that's the issue as far as caucus sites being changed. Now, you know, I want to be careful as a journalist. I don't have proof that they're doing this to screw Bernie, but common sense would indicate, you know, the Iowa Democratic Party, your top responsibility is to know how many people are going to vote. It's not like, oh, you know, we don't have access to how many people are registering, how many new people are registering, first-time voters. Like, they know this well before the caucus. So the fact that just now the responses I was getting is like, yeah, the site we had was too small. There's so many people registering, we needed to get a bigger caucus site. You should have known that a month to 2 months ago. So even if you want to say this is not sinister, it's gross incompetence. So that's number one. Number two, as I reported before the caucus last week, the Democratic National Committee, in partnership with the Iowa Democratic Party, as well as the Nevada Democratic Party, had the brilliant idea to report the results of the caucuses on an app, right? So they actually used an app in 2016 that was developed by Microsoft. I have a lot of thoughts on Bill Gates and Microsoft that I won't, that's for another day. Bill Gates is not exactly the patriot that the media makes him sound like. However, I mean, Microsoft knows tech, right? So there wasn't like major issues with the app in 2016. Microsoft is a multi-billion-dollar corporate conglomerate. You know what I mean? And Jen, if you're watching, make sure to screenshot the screen as we go up in viewership. We're going to get a record today. I feel it. So Microsoft did the app in 2016. There were no issues. Okay. So, well, there were issues. Namely, Bernie Sanders got screwed in 2016, but that's besides the point. So you have here an app that the Iowa Democratic Party and the DNC will not reveal who is developing this app, who is in charge of this app. And to be clear, the app is not for people to actually vote. People are not voting on the app, but the app is to transmit the results from various caucus sites to the state party. Okay, so I was hearing a couple days ago when I got here that, particularly from Bernie Sanders volunteers, as well as a few people that are precinct captains, because each caucus site has a precinct captain who's in charge of that caucus site. I was hearing the PIN number that they were getting from the different counties for the app wasn't working. I was hearing from people, I can't download the app on my Android phone. This is the Iowa caucus. Today, I was getting people messaging me, we're having a lot of precinct chairs here that can't download the app. We're having a lot of precinct chairs here that download the app, and then when they go to use it, it freezes. I got 2 messages that the PIN number doesn't work. Granted, this was only from Bernie Sanders supporters. I don't really bother, with the Biden campaign. But my assumption is if this app is not particularly working for Bernie people, I'm assuming it's not working for Biden and these other places. So the devil's argument is, well, the party says if the app has issues, we have the paper ballots as a backup. Yeah, let me trust the party. Let me trust the Democratic National Committee, who literally just changed the rules for Michael Bloomberg to enter the debate. If you've been sleeping under a rock, right before the Iowa caucus, the Democratic National Committee basically gives a middle finger to Tulsi Gabbard, Andrew Yang, Cory Booker, Julian Castro, and our wonderful, Grandpa Gravel, who they said, no, we're not changing the debate rules for you. Mike Gravel, his campaign just put out audio. They recorded a conversation with the Democratic National Committee when Mike Gravel had reached the 65,000 unique donor level. They recorded the conversation with the DNC because the DNC would not allow Gravel to enter the debate, saying, well, you have the 65,000 donor mark, but you're not polling at the level that we require. They said, they told Gravel's campaign, we can't change the requirements for anybody. This is on tape. They tweeted it out. It's been retweeted a whole lot. Well, Michael Bloomberg just so happened to give $325,000 to the Democratic National Committee before entering as a presidential candidate. And lo and behold, they just lifted the thing. We're changing the rules for Michael Bloomberg. Then you have the DNC reports coming out, just so happens right before the Iowa caucus, that, a lot of DNC members are getting really, really antsy. We might want to reverse that whole moving the superdelegates to the second ballot. Maybe we should have them vote in the first ballot. Tom Perez put out a tweet, absolutely not happening. We're not reversing anything. Why should we trust them when they literally told Mike Gravel's campaign, yeah, we can't change the rules for anybody. Hey, but Michael Bloomberg gave us $325,000. So, hey, Michael Bloomberg, come on down. By the way, I think it's a great thing if Michael Bloomberg is allowed in the debate. Can you imagine Bernie Sanders versus Michael Bloomberg? Oh, my God. Be epic. Oh, we got almost 1,700 people watching, so smash that like button. We got 1,700 people watching, but only 1,000 likes. So we need 700 more of you. Press that like button. Let's get this up. And if you're a new viewer, make sure to subscribe to our channel and then hit the bell to get all notifications. We have been in Iowa for days. We're going to New Hampshire next. Hopefully South Carolina, if we have the funding, statuscoup.com/join. Become a member for as low as $5 a month. So, all these reports that the app is basically not working. Okay, well, if the app is basically not working, wouldn't we want to know who developed the app? What company is in charge of this app? Do they have any experience downloading an app for an entire state's voting? Oh, well, we can't tell you. Literally, the Iowa Democratic Party and the Democratic National Committee say they won't share who is the developer of the app because it would give away the security to potential hackers. This is the same nonsense, and I'm trying not to curse so I don't get demonetized. This is the same nonsense that they say about classifying information. Well, we got to classify this information so we don't reveal sources and methods and give the enemy, our secrets. You think if people want to hack the app, they're not going to be able to hack it's going to stop them if they don't know who developed it? Of course, if people want to hack the app, they're going to figure out how to hack the app, whether they know who developed it or not. Hackers are hackers. They're brilliant nerds. They'll probably figure out who developed it anyway. And by the way, I just want to point out, Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, Robbie Mook, who was Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, his name has been associated not with the app in particular, but with a group that has been tasked with securing digital democracy. Robbie Mook is connected to how to secure digital democracy for the Democratic primary. Hillary Clinton's campaign manager. That same group, Securing Digital Democracy, you know who Robbie Mook started it with? Say it with me. Bill Kristol of the Weekly Standard, or more infamously, I support every war known to man. Ugh. You can't make this stuff up. And if that doesn't excite you even more, there's an amazing story that just came out. Apparently, oh, by the way, as I told you, Bernie Sanders' campaign is setting out text messages to potential voters, alerting them of the caucus sites being changed and giving them an updated link where they could find their caucuses. So Bernie Sanders' campaign seems to be on it. Over the last few days reporting here, I definitely noticed a difference between Bernie's 2016 campaign and the 2020 campaign. The energy is through the roof, which obviously there was a lot of energy in 2016. But Bernie's campaign this time around is way, way, way more organized. And they seem to be anticipating whether it's shenanigans or just last-minute chaos. And they are really, really up on where the new caucus sites are, and they're getting the information out as quickly as they can, which is a very good thing. So a story just came out. Apparently, the Democratic National Committee has enlisted a online troll fighting unit. Yeah, no, I didn't stutter. The Democratic National Committee has enlisted an online troll fighting unit similar to Hillary Clinton's super PAC Correct the Record. And this unit that the Democratic National Committee has enlisted is basically meant to root out disinformation, in this campaign. And it's run, wait for it, by a former Hillary Clinton staffer. Days after the 2016 Iowa caucuses, the instructions were clear. Quote, use any opportunity to criticize Hillary and the rest, except Sanders and Trump. We support them. The guidance had been circulated among a group of Russians who were covertly running a vast network of social media accounts seeking to divide Democrats and push the candidacy of Donald Trump. 4 years later, unhappy with Silicon Valley's efforts to curb the manipulation of its platforms, the Democratic Party has developed capabilities of its own to monitor and tackle online disinformation. Oh, boy. Oh, God. The first of the nation caucuses here Monday will be the Democrats' first 2020 test of its new team on a day when voters have their say. The efforts reflect Democrats' growing discontent with Silicon Valley executives like Mark Zuckerberg and highlight concerns that viral disinformation could have an impact on this year's election. Quote, "It's like algorithmic wars here. It's kind of crazy," a DNC staffer who works on the Democrats' new counter-disinformation team said on Saturday as preparations were underway in Des Moines. The staffer asked not to be identified due to the nature of their work and possibly being subjected to online harassment. Quote, "Both Republicans and foreign actors like Russia have an incentive to divide the American electorate and may try to use the Iowa caucuses to further that goal," the DNC wrote in a, quote, "counter-disinformation update." Among the new weapons in the Democrats' online arsenal is a monitoring tool called Trendolizer. When stories from websites known to peddle misinformation mention candidates and begin getting shares on social media, Trendolizer detects it and an alert is sent to relevant campaigns. Another tool built in at the DNC monitors Twitter traffic. On Monday, it will watch for misinformation about how and where to caucus. Variations of the word rigged had been loaded into their system when CNN was shown it Saturday. Attempts to undermine legitimate vote results using disinformation is something Democrats are watching out for. Well, that makes me super confident. The DNC, the Democratic National Committee, and by the way, we have almost 2,000 people watching. 1,400 of you have pressed that like button. So we're getting to the satellite caucuses in a minute. I'm going to get to the satellite caucuses, but I wanted to tell you about this. Press that like button. It's a thumbs up button right under the video. So the DNC, led by a former Hillary Clinton staffer. I'll put the article in the super chat so you could read it if you haven't been able to read this. It's truly remarkable that this is being allowed. But, you know, this is what happens when our elections are basically run by elitist establishment partisans. They're allowed to basically regulate themselves. So the DNC, led by a former Hillary Clinton staffer, is basically now going to be the judge and jury on what is verifiable fact online and what is disinformation. They say they basically have a list of websites that, according to them, are conduits of misinformation. What can go wrong? Well, what does that mean? Are my tweets going to be flagged as misinformation because the DNC doesn't like me and I'm not invited to the Christmas party? Jimmy Dore? Kyle Kalinske? I mean, I'm not trying to fearmonger, but there's very little specifics provided here. They loaded into Trendolizer the word rigged. So that means if a Bernie Sanders campaign volunteer or a journalist puts out a tweet with real information but happens to use the word rigged, then that's going to be flagged to campaigns, to Twitter, because they're saying they're going to flag things to Twitter too. This is Big Brother run amok. This is Big Brother run amok. And by the way, this is why it's so dangerous when Elizabeth Warren came out the other day saying she would make it a felony, punishable by jail time, to spread disinformation online. Who the hell is the judge and arbiter of what is real information and what is not real information? Of course, there are things like deep fake videos, which are just heavily selectively edited and distorted to put words in people's mouths that they didn't say, to put people in locations that they never were. Of course, those need to be regulated and exposed. But Seth Peterson, $90 in the super chat. Thank you, Seth. We love you. Keep the generosity coming. 2,000 viewers. So between the DNC opening the door for Bloomberg, between the super delegates basically having a big fucking connipshit, damn it, I demonetized myself. Swear jar. Between the super delegates having a connipshit about the Bernie Sanders possibly winning Iowa and New Hampshire, oh, we might need to change the rules. Between the DNC now literally outsourcing to Hillary Clinton's campaign staffers to essentially correct the record, which was a paid troll army run by David Brock, Hillary Clinton's hatchet man, and just correct the record and make it much bigger as essentially the DNC's censor of disinformation. This is rigged. They are setting it up to be rigged. So then let's get to the satellite caucuses. So for those of you that don't know, there are satellite caucuses are a new thing. And basically what they are is additional caucuses created that are outside of the general normal caucus areas. What's that? Areas. They are meant for people that are from Iowa but might live in other states now. So Iowans that live they're meant for maybe elderly people who have a really hard time getting to a caucus site. So they have it in senior citizen homes where elderly people live. It's basically additional caucuses meant for out of staters, young people that are from Iowa but live in other states, and Iowans that might have moved down to Florida, things like that. So what's amazing is sound. Okay, hold on. Okay, so what's amazing to me about this is the first caucus sites, the first satellite caucuses, Bernie Sanders won. Like the first three that were reported, Bernie Sanders won. I'll read you the results here. And again, these are caucus sites. Some of them are not in Iowa. Some of them are in Iowa. But Bernie Sanders won the first four caucus sites. Let me get the results here. Keep pressing that like button. Keep leaving the super chat. If you have never seen Status Coup, please consider supporting us by becoming a member at statuscoup.com/join. That's statuscoup.com/join. You can become a member for as low as $5 a month. This is how we fund our in the field on the campaign reporting. And if you've been watching, this is the first thing we've even done in our hotel room. The only reason we're in our hotel room is because there's so much information coming in. I didn't want to go cover something because I wouldn't be able to monitor everything. We're actually going to be going to Bernie Sanders' campaign event basically like in an hour, which starts at 8 o'clock Central Time, but we'll be there earlier to do interviews. So Bernie Sanders won the first satellite caucus. He won the first satellite caucus. The results were 14 people casted their votes for Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders. One attendee casted their vote for Elizabeth Warren. And that person decided not to switch her vote back. So Elizabeth Warren had one supporter, and on the final round, that person decided, I'm just not going to participate anymore. So Bernie got 14 votes. Elizabeth Warren got one. This was at the headquarters of the local United Food and Commercial Workers. So that was one satellite caucus location that went for Bernie. Then we just had another one in Ottumwa, Iowa. Ottumwa, Iowa is Sanders swept up 4 delegates there. And a public library. Let me get the public library one. Bernie Sanders at a public library got 5 people in his corner. Klobuchar and Buttigieg each got 2. So there might be more satellite caucuses since I've gone live that the results are coming in. But Bernie Sanders won 3 out of 3 of the first satellite caucuses that were reported. So, of course, what does CNN first report? You literally, I'm not surprised, but take a look at what they reported as the first satellite caucus of the day. Even though this came after. I'm going to put the microphone up so you could hear it. By the way, this was a satellite caucus in Florida. So CNN doesn't report the results of the satellite caucuses actually held in Iowa, where Bernie Sanders won. They report this as the first satellite caucus of the day. Just so happens it's in Florida, which tends to go a little bit more moderate. Hopefully you're not on an empty stomach.
There's going to be a second round
of discussion among the people here in the room so that they can do what Iowans do when they caucus.
Rosa, hold on for a moment.
Talk to their neighbors,
Rosa,
talk to their friends.
I just want to show our viewers the results that we're getting right now that you can see, and they're on the screen right now. Right now, this is in Port Charlotte, Florida, 35.6%. First round of voting in this caucus in Port Charlotte, Florida. Klobuchar, 35.6%. Buttigieg, 28.1%. Biden, 24.4%. Elizabeth Warren, 8.9%. Tom Steyer, 1.5%. So now there's going to be a second round of voting because some of the candidates were not, quote, viable. We're going to have those results as soon as we come back.
Isn't that amazing? CNN,
Among the people here in the room.
CNN with more resources than God. CNN who could have a reporter and a cameraman in every single location. They could have a reporter or a camera in every single caucus location, right? They could have cameras in the Iowa locations where Bernie won. But they start their coverage in Port Charlotte, Florida. No disrespect to our viewers from Florida. No disrespect to my friends in Florida who are a little bit older. But why do you think CNN is live broadcasting a satellite caucus from Florida? Could it be that there's a lot more people over the age of 60 participating that might go more for middle-class Joe, moderate Joe, Minnesota nice Amy? This is how they manufacture consent. But I don't think it's going to work. I really don't. I think Bernie Sanders' campaign has put in the work here. It's a lot more organized than I saw in 2016. In 2016, let's face it, it was really David versus Goliath. Bernie Sanders' campaign was very, very under-resourced in the beginning. Money and staff came later. But in Iowa, they were really, really just outspent and outmanned. And they still almost won. I think they did win, to tell you the truth. If the rigging and the shenanigans and CNN calling it when Bernie was down less than a point, they called it when Bernie was down 1/10 of a point. But that's yesterday. So what does all this mean? What does all this mean? What this means to me, and again, we got 2,500 people watching. 1,900 of you have pressed that like button. If I can get another 600 of you to press that like button, I'd really appreciate it. And by the way, for those of you who are new to Status Coup, because YouTube hides us in a cave and never puts it in your feed, please make sure to press the subscribe button. We really appreciate it. When you press the subscribe button, also click the bell for all notifications. Makes a huge, huge difference. We really, really tune in. You could check out our other videos. We went to a Joe Biden event the other day, and boy, was that interesting. And we had some wonderful, interesting conversations, including with a moderate Biden supporter who said, I'd rather 4 more years of Trump than that leftist Bernie Sanders. But then again, we had an interview with a wonderful woman, really nice woman, who was buying into the talking points about, well, I think only a moderate can beat Trump. We need a moderate. And when because I said to her, well, you know, corporate media feeds you this programming, this brainwashing, and they tell you moderates are the only one that can win. But then I pointed out, well, how's moderate President John Kerry treating you? How's moderate President Al Gore? I mean, he did win technically, but still. How's moderate President Hillary Clinton? And like that, it was just amazing. It's like somebody see the light bulb going off. They were like, you know, you're right. You're right. And she turned into a Bernie person. I didn't even have to persuade her. It was very organic. And then we were basically pushed out of the way from asking a question to Joe Biden by 2 hulky firefighter union guys. So go watch those videos. So to me, what this is going to come down to, I really don't think it's going to come down to the app. The app is a terrible idea. I think it's ridiculous that there's no transparency at all who developed this app. To me, it's probably developed by people with connections to the Clintons, Obama world, and they just don't want progressives to know that. But to me, I don't think this is going to come down to the app. I think this is going to come down to the fact that they're changing the caucus locations at the last minute. I mean, when you change the caucus location a week before, it's hard enough for people to know. First of all, it's hard enough to get people to want to come out and caucus. That's what Bernie's campaign has been doing, trying to get non-traditional voters, people that never came out, people that are just say they're all full of it. You know, we don't get involved with politics. So first you have to convince those people to come out. Then you know, make sure they know the nitty-gritty. You got to be here 6:30, doors close at 7, here's the location. And then once you've achieved those two steps, if they then change it on you a week before, or in some cases I'm hearing the day before, that's a nightmare. To be fair, it's not only going to disadvantage potential Bernie Sanders voters. This might disadvantage a whole lot of voters. It might disadvantage Warren voters, Pete voters, Buttigieg voters, Yang voters. So it doesn't necessarily, quote unquote, rig it against Bernie. But, you know, to me, older voters who vote constantly are usually more on top of where their caucus site is. The fact that the Iowa Democratic Party is like sending out tweets to alert you on where the new caucus sites are that are being changed is very disconcerting, because the majority of older people, no offense, the majority of older people are not on Twitter. They say, you know, the Johnson County, Iowa party responded to my email where I was asking them some questions saying, well, we Sorry, my microphone went out. Can you hear me now? 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 Okay. So we should have, I don't know if you heard what I was just saying because the microphone went out. So we should have the Iowa Democratic Party is at fault here. And frankly, the state parties aren't the only ones involved. The DNC is involved with these things. So even if you want to say, you know, it's not intentional, the job of the state party, the number one job of the state party is to know how many people are coming out to vote. The job of the state party is to know how many people are coming out to vote. So you're telling me that a week before the caucuses, you're just then learning that your sites aren't big enough and you need to book larger venues? You should have known this a month or two before. You should have known this a month or two earlier. So either the state party is grossly incompetent, or they're just changing it at the last minute to throw chaos into the system so that certain candidates have less voters come out. Either way, it's bad news. So we'll see what happens. I mean, a lot of different things could happen tonight. To me, my gut, based on the polling, based on the organizing on the ground that I'm seeing, based on the energy that I'm seeing, I think it's very likely that Bernie Sanders wins by 2 to 3 points. Possibly more than that, but at a baseline, I think he could win by 2 to 3 points. To me, I think it's likely that Pete Buttigieg might come in second, based on what I've seen here. I think it's likely that Warren comes in third. I think it's possible Biden comes in fourth or fifth place. To me, when I look at the Des Moines Register not releasing its final poll based on a nonsense reason that really makes no sense, that Pete Buttigieg wasn't offered as an option to one voter that was called, to me, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, I don't have any inside information on this, to me, that does not pass the smell test. The gold standard of polling would not hold back a poll because one candidate wasn't offered as an option to one person. All of these polls have in the disclaimers, like, these polls are subject to technical and human error. To me, it's highly likely that poll did not look good for Joe Biden. It's possible that Biden was down at 14 or 15% in that poll. Again, I'm not reporting that. That's just my opinion. So we'll see. But really, what I'm going to be doing for the next few hours is a mix of things. So we're going to go to the hotel that Bernie Sanders' campaign is having their event tonight. As far as I know, Bernie is going to be there. He's flying from D.C. once the impeachment hearing ends. I think the impeachment hearing has ended for the day. So he'll be there tonight. It's either going to be an amazingly euphoric, heavenly, unprecedented environment if he wins, or the opposite. But we'll be there. We're going to go live. So definitely, obviously, you have a lot of different opportunity. You have a lot of different outlets you could watch. We hope you'll watch us because we will be on the ground with the people. We will be interviewing volunteers. We will be interviewing paid staffers. Hopefully, we get like somebody like Nina or other people. We're going to be there live for as long as we could go. We're charging our battery right now on our live view. So we're going to go as live as possible. It's always chaotic, so hopefully it's not like crazy loud to the point where like there's static in the mic. We hope not, but we're going to be heading there probably once I get off this live stream. Definitely check out our other videos. Also, if you're not on our text list, you might not know about this if you're a new viewer. YouTube doesn't always notify our subscribers when we're live. Actually, they rarely do. So you could get a text message when we go live. Just text COUP to 474747. Again, text COUP to 474747, and you can get on our text list. We're going to be texting you tonight when we go live. So there's no issue. If you don't get a YouTube notification, you'll know we're live. And for those of you that are new to Status Coup, I just want to give you a little preview. If you don't know our work, here is our reporting so far on the campaign trail this campaign season. If I could find it, that is. Hold on. Oh, of course. Of course. Why would it work? Hold on one second. I want to show you the work we've been doing on the campaign trail because we really would love to be doing more of that work, but we need your help to do it. Hold on. Choo. Oh, I think I could get it. Just don't go anywhere. You're going to love this video. Oh, what am I doing? It's right here. Here we go.
No disrespect to Bernie, that's not his card, that's not his strength.
That's actually not true, to be honest with you.
No disrespect to Bernie, that's not his card, that's not his strength.
That's actually not true, to be honest with you.
And when Democrats get in office, they were supposed to do good for us, right? Stop the wars, bring home our soldiers, all those things, and they really have been pretty lousy at that job.
No comment at all in regards to taking $1,000 from the person that put the Central Park 5 behind bars for all that time.
But I did read you just endorsed Joe Biden. So are you not concerned about the crime bill, which ushered in a whole new era of mass incarceration?
You look at the crime bill, it had over 90% of the fact of everything of the people in the Senate that supported it.
So a lot of people supported the Iraq War, too. It was wrong then.
Department, you know, you might have to wait a few hours, as you would anywhere in the world, I'm sure, but then you will be patched up, given the best care possible, for free, without any questions asked, because you're a person. You know,
say that one more time?
Because you're a person. Yeah.
So anything on policy or substance or just malarkey?
Oh, just malarkey. I mean, honestly, I haven't been that impressed, I'll be completely honest.
By Biden?
No, not really.
But you're wearing his shirt.
It was free.
Do you feel like that those are getting covered fairly on the news in like the MSNBCs, the CNNs, Fox Newses of the world?
Absolutely not.
Man, we getting disrespected and killed off like cattle, and they ain't really talking about it.
I know you're a true blue Joe Biden supporter, but there's video proof, and I can show it to you when we're finished shooting this. He is pro-cutting Social Security.
It's nice to have a bill, but if you don't know what your 4-year transition plan is that's in that bill, then what are you doing?
Couldn't the opposite be said? I hear what you're saying, but what is a plan worth if you don't have an actual movement to get it done? Gives me chills every time. So we are now at 926 Status Coup members. Again, support us if you can. You can become a member for as low as $5 a month. This is how we not only grow for the long term, but this is how we're going to be able to fund the rest of the campaign. We don't have any financial D-bags funding us. We don't have any of the fossil fuckers funding us. We don't have anybody from Big Pharma, big real estate, Silicon Valley, the big Democratic Party or Republican Party donors funding us. We are at 926 wonderful members. Membership is as cheap as $5 a month. We have other plans that are a little bit higher. Every month we do a call just with our members. It's a video call. It's a lot of fun. We just had 2 actually in January. We're doing another one soon. We're also pumping out behind the scenes bonus content for our members from Iowa. So definitely sign up. Obviously, if you don't have an extra $5 to spare, that's cool too. No worries. If you can't, you can share our content, spread the word, all that good stuff. So thank you. Let me take a couple questions, comments, concerns before we wrap here. Wow, the super chat is moving pretty quick. And thank you for all the super chats. Sorry if I didn't get to any. Let me know if you're confused about anything. So happy to see Jordan getting the views he deserves. Thank you. We really appreciate that. Is this a show about your show? No, I guess you missed the first 50 minutes giving updates about the Iowa caucus. Sorry if we have to ask people to fund us to do this kind of reporting. That bothers me. I can't stand people that are like, stop asking for money. Would you rather us go and have private meetings with fossil fuckers? Would you rather us go and have private meetings with Wall Street bankers like a lot of other outlets do while claiming to be progressive? If you don't like us having to ask for money, go elsewhere. That's all I have to say about that. Thank you. Great work. Thank you. Watch out for Russian hacking of the Caucus app. Oh boy, the Russians are coming. Mr. Biden, be like, if anybody has seen Joe, please send him home. I was at Standing Rock. Thank you. They're interviewing Joe Biden on CNN. They're strong and confident. Perhaps that Joe will lose. Honestly, they're putting Joe Biden on CNN instead of Joe Biden. What does that tell you? Not only is Joe Biden's campaign literally putting a gag order on him. Did you see that the other day? Reporters are asking Joe Biden questions. His campaign won't let him talk. They handed him like a book report, a piece of paper to hand to reporters. And then when we were on the rope line about to ask Biden a question, there was 2 big union firefighters that literally, they didn't physically push me, but they demanded I move back, and then they blocked the rope line and whisked Uncle Joe past me. It's not looking good for Joe. It's just not. Let's keep going. Jordanception. Let's win this effing thing. I look forward to seeing you again. I just donated to Bernie and increased my monthly donations. There you go. Mumbling Joe is moving slow. Who is going to be the next lucky Status Coup member? I agree. And by the way, just so you know, the average reporting trip, the reason we're trying to grow our membership, the average reporting trip costs us like $2,000 to $3,000. Iowa's costing us even more, almost $4,000. The rent-a-car for 5 days is $900. So when you're a small, like, grassroots startup, all of this costs a lot of money. So that's why we're trying to grow our membership. We're also trying to grow our membership because we want to hire other reporters. We need help with marketing, social media, production. So a lot of needs, and we're trying to do it through you. Any questions, comments, concerns? Joe Biden, the great American loser. Super slow Joe. Deja effing view. Insane. Numbling Joe. Donated for the first time ever to Bernie. Show your support to Jordan and Bernie. And that's a hard thing because it's like I'm competing with Bernie Sanders, for God's sakes. It's like Jen and I were talking, and it's like, damn, we're trying to like get some donations to fund this reporting, but it's like Bernie's sending out 7 emails to get money for him, which I totally get. So obviously, like, if you only have one person to send it to, I can't really be like, give it to me, not Bernie. But if you have more than one donation in your wallet, feel free. Send it to Status Coup. Thank you, Alan, $20. Appreciate it. Go get him, Jordan. I stand corrected. Thank you for doing what you're doing. My bad. Thank you, Craig. Joe is being escorted around Iowa by the hand today. Did you see this? What hand? No, I missed that. I don't know what hand you're talking about. Joe Biden kisses his granddaughter on the lips. I did see that. Joe Biden was kissing his granddaughter. I shouldn't say kissing. It wasn't like, it was a peck on the lips, which is a little creepy. Drink some water, please. I will. That's a good idea. Jordan, please do not forget to remind the New York voters to register as the February 14th deadline approaches. I will not forget. If you're in New York, make sure you're registered by Valentine's Day, February 14th. Charles, $4.99. One of the results coming in. Great work, Jordan. Big fan of yours since 2015. The caucuses start at 7 o'clock Central. That's 8 o'clock Eastern. You should start seeing results coming in, I think, as early as 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock. No. You should start seeing results coming in. My guess would be about 8:30, 9 o'clock Central. That's 10 o'clock Eastern time. Stay hydrated. We will. Help me. Wow, what a weirdo Biden is. And by the way, I tweeted out earlier, Biden's campaign, even recently, was posting on job sites for paid canvassers. So canvassers are the ones that go around and knock on doors. Every campaign has paid canvassers, but I only found in Iowa job listings for Biden's campaign for paid canvassers. So what does that mean? Well, Bernie's campaign might have like paid organizers, but they have so many job resumes and volunteers that they don't have to like put on Indeed.com or Glassdoor.com job postings for paid canvassers. They have so many people applying. If Joe Biden's campaign even recently is posting on websites, hey, pay $15 an hour for paid canvassers, that would indicate to me you don't have a long list of people messaging you to work on your campaign. That's how I take it. Jordan, use the Turo app instead of rent a car. I don't know what the Turo app is, but send us the information at info@statuscoup.com. Nathan Hera, it's the last day to register to vote in Texas. Thank you. Yeah, but Bernie didn't hire me. Wow. Cody Hamilton, $10. Don't forget, besides Bernie and Status Coup, to also donate to down ticket progressives in primaries. Absolutely. Easy R, $4.99. Thank you. Rush Limbaugh dying of lung cancer. Ding dong, the witch is that true?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, he's just been diagnosed with late-stage lung cancer.
Really?
Yes, I feel for him.
Oh, what do I say in response to Rush Limbaugh dying of lung cancer? I don't want to get myself in trouble.
All right, never mind.
Well, when the stuff coming out of your lungs for the last 30 years is vile propaganda, but, sorry to his family and everything. Bernie volunteer told me to vote by Valentine's Day, February 14th. Burn the DNC. Brazilian-American patriotic soldier, $2. Why? Trump rallies looking much bigger than 2016. Because Trump has operated as president of his base rather than president of the United States. So he has kept his base energized, and that's why you're seeing the rallies. I don't know if they're bigger than 2016. I covered his 2016 rallies. They look the same size to me. Anat, my girlfriend, when you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything, Jord. It's a good point, my love. Bye, Rush. Don't say anything. LMAFO. Thanks, Jordan. Good effing writtens. Bye, Felicia. I mean, I'm not like happy somebody's dying, but he's not a good person. What can I tell you? He's just not. Another psychopath bites the dust. Okay. So before I go, we got 2,000 people watching, so I want to go down the list one more time. And for those of you who say I'm repeating myself, I'm going down the list because we might have people that came late. So right now, in the last few hours, the top things that I'm hearing from Bernie Sanders volunteers, I did speak with somebody on the campaign as well, is caucus sites are being changed last minute. Caucus sites, as recently as a few days ago, are being changed, and like in a totally chaotic fashion, the Iowa Democratic Party on the day of the caucus is trying to alert people through Twitter and other means of their new caucus site. What could go wrong? What could go wrong when you're trying to alert people the day before or on the day, hey, your caucus site has changed? I envision there's going to be a lot of people going to the original caucus site they were given, only to find out it's been moved. How many of those people are going to then drive wherever the new place is? That's the truth. The other thing is the app that we've all been concerned about. We're hearing that precinct chairs are having a hard time downloading it on certain types of phones. Certain precinct chairs, the PIN numbers they've been given to access the app are not working. So the app, we're told, is not the only source of transmitting the results. They are supposed to have paper ballot backups. They're supposed to have paper ballot backups. So again, to me, the bigger concern is not the app. The bigger concern is the fact that they are changing caucus locations at the very last minute, which shows gross incompetence on the part of the Iowa State Democratic Party. And by the way, the DNC is involved with the Iowa State Democratic Party and what they're doing or not doing correctly, because the DNC has been working with the Iowa State Democratic Party for months to prepare for this. Again, how you're just figuring out days before or a week before that your caucus site isn't large enough to hold the amount of voters expected. You should have known how many voters were expected, because it's been known forever. And the Iowa State Democratic Party has the registry. You know how many registered voters there are. You see how many new voters have registered, how many first-time voters have registered. They should have prepared for this not a week before to find new locations, a month before. So it's a mess. It's a mess. But on the positive note, listen, I can only tell you what I see on the ground, okay? I've only covered Bernie and Biden since I've been here. I haven't covered Warren. I haven't covered Pete since I've been here. I haven't covered Klobuchar, Yang, any of those people. I've only been here a few days. But if the polls are correct, it's between Bernie, Biden, and Pete. In fairness, not a fan of Pete, but he has had pretty big crowds. He has had pretty big crowds. In fairness, Pete has essentially been campaigning in Iowa and only Iowa for the last month, while Bernie, Warren, and Klobuchar have had to go back and forth to D.C. for the impeachment hearing. I think a lot of it's going to come down to the second ballot, because again, there's 2 rounds of voting. If on the first round of voting your candidate does not get 15% of the vote, he doesn't get any delegates. He's not viable at that location, and those voters are able to vote again for another candidate. So the good thing is, for the first time, they're going to be reporting both results. So it's possible that Bernie Sanders wins the first round of voting, which is the real vote. I mean, the first round is how many people voted for each candidate. I don't understand why they have 2 rounds of voting. They should just have 1 round and that be it. So Bernie Sanders might win the first round, but because there's more moderate/Republican candidates than progressive ones, you got Klobuchar as a moderate/Republican, Biden as a moderate/Republican, Buttigieg as a moderate/Republican. Who else do we got? Klobuchar, Buttigieg, Biden, Warren to a lesser degree. a lot of them, if they don't meet the criteria, if they don't meet the delegate criteria in the first round, could move to those other moderates. Whereas Bernie really only has Tulsi, Yang, I would say to a lesser extent, Warren, as other candidates whose voters could move to Bernie. So really, what I think is going to happen here, if Bernie wins the first round, I think Bernie's campaign is just going to declare victory. We won. Move on. Because remember, Iowa doesn't even have that many delegates. Iowa is really a media creation. It's really, in the grand scheme of things, not super important. It doesn't have nearly as many delegates as like South Carolina, Texas, California, these bigger states. But it's about momentum. It's about signaling who is actually electable. So a lot of times, whoever wins Iowa gets a big bounce heading into New Hampshire. So I think if Bernie wins the first round, I think his campaign is just going to declare victory and be done with it. Even if in the final round it goes to Biden or Klobuchar or Pete, because the candidates who didn't meet the 15% threshold, their voters moved over to others. Whoever wins the first round, I think, is going to be able to have a narrative that they won. And I think from the polls and the energy I'm seeing on the ground, I think it's very likely Bernie's going to win that first round. If he wins the second round, too, after the realignment, then it's a double whammy. So we'll see what happens. But again, we're going to be live from Bernie's campaign event, probably in a few hours. His campaign event starts at 8 o'clock Eastern. 8 o'clock Central, so that's 9 o'clock Eastern. We'll be there before to interview as many supporters as we can. Please, 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 make sure, not only do you sign up for our text list, text COUP to 474747. Also, make sure you're signed up to our email list, statuscoup.com. Enter your email once you get a pop-up. Then a lot of you have signed up to our email, but our emails are going to your spam. So make sure you check your spam and make sure you whitelist us out of spam. Make sure you move us to your regular inbox, because for whatever reason, we're going to a lot of people's spam. So make sure you check your spam. We don't email you 25 times a day. We try not to send a lot of emails, but it's important. We're emailing you when we're live. We're emailing you some of our reporting, our coverage, those kinds of things. Occasionally asking for a buck or two. And as always, listen, our goal, for those of you that get upset when we ask for funding to cover very expensive in-the-field reporting, right now we're at 926 Status Coup members. 926. Status Coup members. That's outdated. We got a few more since we've been live. Our goal is to hit 1,000 by the New Hampshire primary. We got time. We got time to do that. So everybody, if we could get to 1,000 by tonight, God knows what I will do. If we could get to 1,000 members by tonight, who the hell knows? I might streak around Iowa. I'm just saying. It's cold. But if we get to 1,000 tonight, who knows what I could do? So, statuscoup.com/join. Sign up for as low as $5 a month. Makes a huge difference. This is how we grow. Thank you for watching. We will be live probably in the next hour or two from campaign headquarters as we start to watch results come in from the Iowa caucus. And follow me at Jordan Sheridan, and follow at Status Coup. I will be tweeting out if I hear any other shenanigans that I could verify. I'm getting a lot of tips that I can't verify, and I'm not tweeting out everything that I get because a lot of things are just rumors and things that I can't confirm, but I am tweeting out things that I have been able to confirm. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in a few hours.